We all know that breaking up is hard to do, and sometimes saying goodbye is hard. Today we're going to talk about how to say goodbye to old inventory. Why don't you stay a while?
Hey everyone, I'm Prof Sales.
And I'm Just Ask Kaaren.
And this is the Prof Sales YouTube channel where we talk about being a reseller, selling on eBay, selling on Amazon, selling on e-commerce platforms, your mindset, your motivation for being an entrepreneur, lots of things that just revolve around being a business for yourself. It's probably the simplest way to explain it. And we are glad you are here. So this particular show is being broadcast live on a Google Hangout. And if you'd ever like to join us during one of these Hangouts, we come on every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. I should be clear about that. And you're welcome to come join us in the live chat. Or if you have a question or comment after the show post, you can leave it down below and let us know. Let us know what you thought of the show. Let us know any comments you have. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the show. If you didn't enjoy the show, you can let us know that too. But we're open to whatever feedback you have, as always. And we are glad you are here with us today. It's Monday.
It is. My turn?
It's your turn.
Sometimes you just go and go. And sometimes we sing and dance and jump around and holler. I even promised in the beginning of the chat that there might be some singing and even some Italian, because I wanted to lead off with na 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 na, hey hey hey.
Yeah, that's so overdone though, right? And you know me, I have to take it to a different level, somewhere different.
Always. And so share with everyone, what was your song?
My song was
before the one that I put the link to.
Which one did you put the link to?
The Italian one. Not the Italian one, the other one.
Mine was Never Say Goodbye from Bon Jovi, 80s super band. I guess they're still around. I shouldn't say that. But
he's still a Superman.
Anyway, I don't know where that just went.
So there might be some Bocelli singing today, because I can't get the song out of my head.
Clearly, you way overestimate my ability to sing.
And how do you say it in Italian? Conte
partiro.
Yes.
Conte partiro.
Time to say goodbye.
Yes, great song. Andre Bocelli and Sarah Brightman, who's one of my favorites.
Crush, big time.
They sing it, and I don't know why that song came up, because we were thinking about inventory, and we're going to talk about the topic. We can't keep talking.
I was wondering how long he was going to let all that nonsense go on before he reeled us back.
Yeah. So, but we're letting people filter into the room, and we have 72 people watching. So that's so thanks for you guys coming out today. And
so we goof around a little bit in the beginning, just to give folks time to, get here, and we'll get to it, I promise. But we're starting with impetus, right? We always talk about what it is and what we're talking about and where it came from.
Yeah.
And I have been kind of pressing for this, because one of the important things for us in all of the thingies that we share is that we're pretty open about, I don't know, all the things that we do, especially the mistakes.
Right.
And as we were going through our own inventory, and you guys, some of you guys know that was a bit of a slog, and it took us longer than it should. But I kept putting my hands on jeans, and it's kind of cute because it shows our evolution. But inventory tags started out as simple as a little Post-it note in one of our little alligator clips, right?
Yeah.
And Jason would literally handwrite the SKU number and the position.
Well, originally just the SKU number.
Well, yeah, because we didn't have all the shelves and things that we have now, right? And it wasn't as
It wasn't as good. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When I first started inventorying things, calling it a system is a little bit of a stretch.
Well, it could be a system of one check, I think.
Right. And so this subject, it kind of presupposes something. All right. So some of you out there who sell on eBay, or it could be on any platform, not just eBay, but you've got this old inventory. But we're going to have to define old inventory. I hate it when people throw around terms in the reselling world, and really the world, and they don't define them, and they presuppose that you will understand exactly what they're talking about.
So in the interest of being clear, we came up with what we would consider Old.
Yes. And you know what your definition of old inventory is going to be different than ours potentially. Some of you have a quicker flip model. You want to get rid of things very, very quickly. And I can understand that. Others are willing to sit.
Right, because you might have that one-of-a-kind item that's really high priced, and we have someone in our Facebook group that is sitting on something pretty hefty.
Yeah.
And we get that. So let's just get all of that, like before somebody comes in and watches like 1 minute of a 59-minute video. We're not, remember, it's all sort of relative. We're going to wiggle the meter around a little bit here.
Yeah, and you know, and this also supposes something else. It supposes that you have a way to tell how old your inventory is. And
yeah,
not everybody has that. And at one point, I didn't really have that either. I've kind of gone back and forth with some things on that. And I'll tell you why in a moment. But what's old inventory? So let's talk about that question. And why do you need to get rid of it? So maybe we should focus on that part. Well, there's a really simple reason why you need to get rid of old inventory, and that's because you need to free up capital. You need to free up space, potentially. It's sitting there. You've spent the money to buy it, whatever amount that was. Maybe it wasn't a lot, but it's still capital, and it's taking up space in your inventory, and you'd like to move it at some point because you don't have an infinite amount of capital. You don't have an infinite amount of space, right? And lots of eBayers out there complain about, oh, my stuff's not selling. And then they don't say the next part of that sentence, which is, I don't have any money to buy new stuff. Because we covered this in the video last week, this idea about listing. Well, that would mean that you've got an infinite amount of capital and space, but we don't. You've got to sell things so that you can buy more things to sell them. And so if things just sit there forever, then eventually you'll run out of capital or run out of space.
And we're also assuming at this point, as we're defining what somebody actually called it stale inventory, we're already assuming that you've taken the steps to make sure your pictures are good, make sure your keywords are good, make sure your listings are accurate. Like we're already taking for granted that you've taken the steps to tweak the listing itself. So we're making the assumption that it's sitting, like based on if in your perfect world, you've done everything right, but you're still sitting on this piece of inventory. So what can we do to get it out of here?
Yeah, and that's a great point, because if you haven't done all those things, you need to do those things first. That's just giving you the best chance to sell it, right? And those are going to be necessary no matter what you do, just as a seller. But I'd love to hear some of you guys' opinions about what you consider to be old inventory, whatever that means to you, and what does that mean in particular. And some people were saying, 4 months is old. Sadie says when he moves things around 36 times, it's considered old, but not 35 times. It's got to be 36 or else. 4 months.
Yeah, that seems to be a common response there, 4 months.
Yeah, when we put something on 6 different platforms and it doesn't sell, we consider it old. Fair enough. But in what time frame? That's the question, Treasure Hustlers, because you got to ask yourself, well, you put it on there, it might not sell in the first day. It might not sell in the first week or in the first month. What's a reasonable time frame? That's going to be a different answer for you than it is for me. Illinois Picker says old is anything previous to the current calendar year. Good for tax purposes. So I guess you mean anything you listed back in the year before the year we're in, which that's a great way to look at it. I like that. That's simple.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Like at the end of this year, if like everything, we could like just get rid of it and then start fresh.
Yes.
Because of the like Illinois Picker brings up a good point, that there's this carryover and you're counting it as an asset or not, or there's that whole, absolutely. That would be lovely.
This is kind of a rule of thumb, because that I came up with today, actually, and I started thinking about what I do, and I realized I kind of have it in my brain. This is what it is. I've just never really put it on paper or said it verbally.
So I asked the question, so Prof, what's a long time for you?
What's an old inventory item, right? How do you answer that?
What's too long? When do you know it's time to say goodbye?
So for me, this is kind of my rule of thumb, and you can use this or use some variation of it, whatever you want to do, doesn't matter. I think anything that's twice as long as your average selling time is old. So let's say that your average time to sell an item is 60 days. If you have an item that's 120 days listed or older, and it's a similar type item, obviously, it can't be completely different because there are different markets and niches that take longer to sell, then I would consider that to be an old item. Now, that's not going to be the same for all of you. Maybe some of you want to say, oh, if it's, anytime it gets 1 day over my average, I think it's old. Fine, whatever you want to do. Maybe you want to keep dropping your average. That's fine. But you have to realize your average selling time is just that. It's an average. It's the selling time of all the items you've sold divided by how many items, summed up, divided how many items there were. So some are going to be less, some are going to be more. That's the definition of an average. So
track of that.
Yes.
There's a spreadsheet line item.
Kaaren is very snarky.
No, but it's true. I mean, people are going to ask, well, how do you know, Prof?
Well, because you asked me, you said, oh, well, what's ours? Right? Like, yes. He won't have that answer. And I'm like, oh, I can tell you.
I did. I put him on the spot and I said, well, inquiring minds, Prof, people are going to ask. And he's like, well, I'll tell you, hold on. And he flipped over to another tab on the spreadsheet. There you go.
Yeah. And what I do, I just looked at our core business of jeans, which is by far what we sell the most of. Mm-hmm. And when I list the jeans in my spreadsheet, I make that spreadsheet entry, I put in there the list date. I also put in there the date they were purchased too, but that's kind of in aggregate, so it's not really exactly accurate. But I put in there when I list them, and then I also put the day when they sell. Like I've merged those two things together on the same tab. So I can tell you how long jeans are listed on average that sell. And for me, this year, now a caveat here, I went back and redated a bunch of my items and gave them an average list date because I was not putting the list date when I first started doing this. Mm-hmm. And I went back and I made that list date. The average date actually ended up being like January of 2016. It was like January 8th. So any item that was a jean that I did not have a list date for, I gave it that date. Mm-hmm. So what's happened is I'm starting to get a clearer picture because that was the average amount of time between when I started listing jeans versus when I started keeping track of when I listed jeans. That was the date right in the middle. So I picked that date. I figured that's the average date. Some are going to be above, some are below. So I gave all those jeans that were older that date. And what I found is this year in 2017, jeans have averaged 149 days of the jeans that have sold. 149 days has been the average time to sell. That's right at 5 months. Now, remember, that does include some of those older ones that have been sitting there since January of last year or even before that. Mm-hmm. But the oldest would be, so some of those high-end numbers, I mean, I've had some jeans that sold recently that were from back, a while ago. So now they're getting like 500 and 600 and, day totals before they sold. So that average is getting pushed up a bit, but over time, that average is going to come out to be a true number, whatever it is. And I've sold thousands of jeans, so I think there's some reasonable number there. In different parts of the year, that number will go way down. It won't be 149. It'll be more like 30. In other parts of the year, it might be more like 150, 160, 170, 180. So that's the average I've seen this year. It includes all the old ones and the newer ones. Shoes has been 52 days to sell. Since we didn't start really selling shoes until March of this year, I don't have a whole year's worth of data on those to be able to tell you this is our true number. It's just a 10-month average. So for me, if you look at my number at 149 days for jeans, by my own formula, anything that was older than 300 days would be old inventory. Mm-hmm. 2x, basically. 300 days is about 10 months. I don't like to blow things out. Let me just say that. I don't like to sell things for nothing. I don't like to sell things at a loss. I hate that for sure. And I just like to, sell things for a good profit. I will sit on them. I can store 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 pair of jeans in this house without any big, huge problem. So I don't need to blow through them. You may not have that same luxury. You know, if you're selling a larger item or if your space is smaller, you may not be able to sell them for 150 days. You might not be able to sell them for 50 days. You just got to keep turning items. That's going to change your strategy. So my average is probably higher than most people's. I know it's higher than some other jeans resellers out there. So take that for what it's worth as well. But find out what your average is. And if you're not tracking that, it's so simple, guys, because when you make a spreadsheet entry and you say, all right, I'm listing, you know, this coffee cup or this plastic cup. I'm listing this plastic cup. Just put in a column in your sheet that says date listed. And then when you sell it, you have a column that says date sold. And you can compare those times very easily. You can see the average age of your inventory you have left, what you've sold, break it down by category, whatever you want to do. It's not that hard to do as long as you have the data, and you'll have a way to figure out what your average age is.
Do you think jeans are long tail? Somebody said that in a comment. They didn't realize jeans were so long tail.
No, they're not. But my strategy is long tail. So because I would rather, again, it goes back to what I mentioned a moment ago. I would rather sit on a pair of jeans and sell them for 30 bucks than flip them out the door for 16 in 2 weeks to make $1 or $2, if that. That's just my strategy. Just is. So, but I think you can make jeans any strategy you want. They can be long tail, they can be short tail. It really just depends. If it's a popular brand, like if it's some of the bigger brands that are on eBay, the Levi's, the American Eagles, a True Religion, a 7 Fam, a jean like that, you can make it long tail or short tail, whatever you want to do. And you can do that with a lot of inventory items. You can do that with a lot of clothing items. And that's why when you see a clothing item that sells for really low, when you look at the solds, that person was probably trying to blow out old inventory or just move inventory really quickly. One of the two. And they're taking the short tail approach. You know, they want to blow stuff out the door, but they're not. But you're not going to make as much money that way. So you got to weigh that off. And there's room in between, I think. So you know, you can choose whatever strategy you want. All right.
Me.
Yes.
So I started at the beginning. I always jump ahead on our list, but the impetus for why, the inspiration for why we want to talk about this, because it's been a long time coming. I think I've been hinting a lot, especially when we went through our physical inventory, when we had to compare our list with the physical list with the eBay list. Every time I would put my hand on that pair of jeans that had, you know, even this one, this is an old, that's not even the current inventory tag that we use. Nope. And we used the Post-its, and it doesn't make it wrong. It's just different. It's evolved. And I couldn't help but thinking, like, you know, there's a couple of Levi signatures in there. And every time I would put my hand on one, I would say, so you put that in the description, right? As we're tweaking and whatever. But there were some jeans up there that have been there for a while. Do you still have number 1? By the way?
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. The very first pair ever listed. But every time, and you know, it kind of goes back to my history with retail as well. Like, you have to figure out a way to rotate that stuff,
right,
and refresh it and make it new and make room for other stuff. And plus, you know, we also sell clothing. We have a limited amount of clothing. You know, the bulk of it is jeans, but half of our closet and another hallway have clothes hanging up in them for sale, right? And I couldn't help but every time I touch them think, you know, there's got to be another way. Free up this capital, free up this space for other thingies, right? So we've been talking ever since that inventory about, you know, we've never really explored it. We've never talked about all the ways to do it differently, to blow it out, to make space. So I'm very interested in what you guys do, as well as some strategies that we've marked out here for how we're going to handle it.
Yeah, my friend Eric, who's in the chat. Hey Eric. He had a great point. He said, if you found the same inventory item today and you would not list it, it's likely at the end of its life. So that would be how you might think about an item you already have. If you would list it today, then it may not be old. So basically the approach that you would still sell it, which is not a bad approach either. And lots of other people are saying, you know, people blow out inventory to get more transactions, to get top rated seller. Someone asked about if we donate. We're gonna get there in just a second. Hold that thought. Old depends on the type of item. Old for a new Gucci purse is a much shorter time period than for a one-of-a-kind type of collectible, which can take over a year to sell. That's a great point too, Moronic Pest. Just this idea that if you've got something unique, it may take a long time to sell. Moronic Pest.
I heard it correctly, apparently.
I'm pretty sure I said it right.
You said it correctly. And somebody mentioned earlier in the chat a show, we can tell who pays attention, right? A show or two ago, we talked about one of the things that you can do is to figure out the age of your item is to tweak your pricing method. And you're getting ahead of us. No, it says right there after my info.
Oh, all right, whatever.
It's the next line item there, Tex. But it says we can use a pricing system, a penny less for each month. And it actually makes it easy for at least the first 10 months with having a 1, 2, 3 at the end or whatever. Like that's like instant gratification. You look and you know that, oh, I listed that in January. There's all kind of things you can do with your like secret things where you'll know just by looking at it how long you've been sitting on it.
Yeah, you can change the cents to a month. You know, we could do 0 through 12 or 1 through 12. The only thing about that is you can't, if you do a percentage off, you know, that's going to throw you a little bit off when it sells. But you can see the original price if you want. You can go back and still see that. You can use the, as she said, a penny per month. You know, you can start it at $30 and then $29.99 is 1 month, $29.98 is 2 months, and so on and so on. All kinds of ways you can do that. You could use a blanket time for what you consider to be old, 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever you want. I mean, that doesn't really matter as much as just figuring out, you know, you've got some way to identify older inventory. Maybe it's through your pricing strategy. You put in there. Maybe it's you keep track of items you list on a certain day. I don't know. You put it in the custom label field, the SKU field. You can do that.
I think cobwebs are a good sign that maybe you've been sitting on it too long. I don't know. Yeah,
well, you know. All right, so we've got this older inventory, however we define it, and you want to get rid of it.
Here we go.
Right? So how do you get rid of it? So we thought of a few different ways that we've gotten rid of old inventory in the past and continue to get rid of old inventory. Now, some inventory I'm just going to keep and try to sell. I'm determined to sell number one. It's just going to happen. But other inventory, I'd be like, we need to get rid of this. It's just sitting around. It's taking up space. It's taking up capital. Let's try to do something to get something, because you really want to get something back out of it, guys. You put your time and capital and energy into it. You've spent the money to get it. You've taken photos. You put the listing up. You may have even answered questions about it, and you want to get rid of it, but you also want to get something back. Something back. So we're going to talk about the best ways to do that. The first and easiest way, and if you have a store, you can do this easily, is run a specific sale on those items. Mark down aggressively those items. And I would recommend, like, let's say you're a jeans seller like me, or maybe you sell in a specific niche, which if you're not, you should consider doing that niche. But if you have a specific niche, take all your older items in that niche and make them one price. One price, because then you're going to be able to see very easily what that item is when it sells. You're going to be able to gauge how effective your sale is. Say, all right, these 30 items are older. I want to get rid of them. I'm going to price them all at $20 or whatever your number is, and see if you can get rid of them. You know, make them all one price, or put them all on a percentage markdown, as we were saying. You can do that as well. Like those things, eBay makes it kind of easy to do. You just have to be able to go in and identify the items that you want to, you know, choose. You pick those items and then just do a bulk edit. You bulk edit the price for all of those items at once. You don't have to go in and do all, you know, individually. You can say, hey, bulk edit these 30 items, change them all to a buy it now price of $20. Submit, you're done. That way you know. Or a percentage off. You can do the same thing. So that's probably the way that a lot of people get rid of you know, items that are older. Picker mentioned the next strategy.
And that's to sell in lots, which means instead of selling your one thingy, sell more than one thingy in the same line item in the same listing, right? So instead of one pair of jeans, it's going to be 2, 3, 5, 10 pair of jeans.
Right. And you're probably gonna have to create a new listing for that. Just to be clear.
Yeah, you can't just sort of bulk combine them necessarily. In doing so, one of the things that we would recommend is that you're really careful on your shipping, because if we took 2 pair of jeans or 3 pair of jeans, and it's probably good to put them in the same size unless you're really going to bulk them out.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great point.
You know, if you're really going to bulk them out and sell them in bulk to someone, as some people do, but then your price would have to be a lot lower probably. But we can fit 1 pair of jeans in a padded flat rate envelope, no problem. 2 pair would be a little iffy.
They'd have to be really little.
So the more, depending upon what the item is, the more you have to put in the 1 container, the more it's going to weigh. So you're going to have to charge more shipping or allow for that within your price.
Yeah. And, you know, too, that brings up interesting questions. When you're selling in a lot, selling too, if it's all the same size, you may be selling to somebody who just wants to buy, you know, a whole wardrobe of jeans at once or whatever your item is. On the other hand, if they're all different sizes and brands and so on, you're probably selling to somebody else who wants to resell them, which means you're going to get a lower price. You know, so there's different ways to look at that. If you have, you know, a bunch of items that are the same size and you can lot them together logically and they're similar type items, I would probably go with the smaller lot approach and try to sell to an individual who wants to buy 3 shirts at once or 3 pairs of jeans at once, or, you know, 2 pairs of pants at once. That you're going to get a higher price that way, and you're going to move more items more quickly. But again, like Kaaren said, you have to figure out a cheap shipping option. Get screwed on the shipping and lose a lot of money.
Well, and think about it. If you're selling bulk thingies to other resellers, you know, we're not going to pay top dollar, right? We're going to work you for a better price. So I think your idea about trying to sell to the individual is much better. And, you know, our friend Kelly, the sock goddess, as I affectionately call her, is in the chat, and she loves and is very successful at selling wholesale. I mean, she sells the, you know what, out of socks all over the world, people.
Yeah. And, you know, and just on the side note, and I was just sitting here thinking about it, I should probably be better about selling kind of the bread and butter jeans together in sizes in lots. I should probably experiment a little more with that just in general, because you can get 2 sales and you can, and where you save on that, guys, you save on it when you get the right shipping option. Because even though you're probably going to get a lower price than you would be if you sold them individually, if you do the shipping right and you get the right option, you can ship still pretty cheaply than you could have shipped 2 for. That's where you can kind of get some of the money back. So, you know, those are some great options just in general, not just for getting rid of, you know, a lot of dead inventory. A third tip we have is end your listings and sell your items locally as a bulk item, a bulk sale on OfferUp or at a yard sale or a flea market, somewhere like there that you, and you're going to have to advertise it. You can't just say, hey, I got some clothes for sale.
Well, Craigslist too. I mean,
Craigslist, sure.
When we say sell locally, it covers, we're covering all the local stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can, because if you sell locally in bulk, you're still going to be selling to resellers sometime. You're still not going to get a huge amount, but you're not going to pay the fees to eBay and PayPal. You're not going to have to fool with shipping. And for the most part, sales are final. So the person's going to come, you're going to meet them somewhere, you're going to show them, you know, your 50 items you have, and they're going to give you money, and they're going to drive away, and you're going to drive away, and that's going to be the end of that. So it's very simple. It doesn't require a lot of extra effort on your part to figure out, well, how much is it going to cost me to ship these 50 jeans to, you know, I don't know, Kokomo, Banff. Sorry.
Oh, you joke.
Different joke. But I think selling locally is an option that a lot of times in the reselling community we forget about. I am guilty of that. I am not the best at doing that.
Well, and you get cash when you sell things locally. P.S. And by the way, I'll just let that hang out there for a moment.
So much simpler. I mean, you don't have to fool with all these. You don't have to fool with all these. You know, just
formalities.
Formalities. Yeah, that's probably the best way to look at it. But you're going to have to take a little bit of time to and cross post them. You know, you can cross post them on different local apps, Craigslist, whatever, OfferUp, Garage Sale. There's a few of them out there now. I'm not the best at using all those, but
Well, and it's easier to cross post locally because you're not getting dinged. Like we
Right.
don't
Good point.
cross post on different e-commerce platforms because we've just
It's
heard
tricky
it's tricky, right?
If
but
something sells
locally,
on one,
I
you
mean,
gotta take it down.
you can put it on Facebook, Craigslist, OfferUp, all of the thingies. You can list them, and you're not going to get. I don't think you're going to get a penalty if you just take it down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think selling locally is a great idea too if you have a good bulk item that you can do it with. I mean, you have to play around with that too to figure out what amount will entice somebody to come buy them. I always laugh when I go onto like these local sites and somebody's like bulk sale and it'll be like 3 items. I'm going, 3 items? I don't really consider that bulk. You just happen to have 3 items for sale, but they're just trying to capture somebody who wants to buy, a lot. And 3 is not really a lot in my book.
And you mean like a lot, like many, not like lot, like a lot.
Right,
lot.
exactly. More than, I don't know what the number is, but I feel like 3 is not, doesn't really qualify as a lot.
Yep. And Thomas brought up that, and I think it was probably in relation to these local pickups and local listings. A lot of police departments now, if you're worried about safety, which you always should be, you should never go to someone's house, meet in a public place.
Or have them come to yours. I
wouldn't
either, if you can avoid it.
There's a joke in there about why I wouldn't worry about that. But anyway, a lot of local police departments have a way where you can go and actually park in a video camera sort of safety zone lot.
Right.
And it'll even be posted. So just, you've got options with that.
Yeah. Kelly said, you have to figure out how many most people would buy at one time. Are you trying to sell to an individual or a fellow reseller? Which is a great point. And you're going to get different prices and they're going to want different things.
Sure.
All right. The last tip we have, I think this is number 4.
Is that number 4?
It is.
And we prefaced 3 and 4 with end the listing first. Always end the listing so that it doesn't sell by accident. And an addition to that is that even sometimes when you end that listing, we just ran into this the other day, and I know that it's not the right part to interject this. But even when you end a listing, eBay might still hold on to it. We just sold a second pair of jeans since we did inventory that we actually, well, no, it's not since we did. Okay, so we pulled a pair for Ben, right? Some Luckies that he wanted. It was the only one in inventory that were his size. We pulled the jeans. I bought them, gave them to him. Jason took down the listing. Kid you not, within the week, they sold, even though we had ended the listing. Flash forward to this weekend, like maybe it was Friday or something.
A couple weeks back from when we initially took it down.
Right. And then a friend had asked us to pull jeans in his friend's size. So we pulled a couple. She decided on 1 or 2, doesn't matter. But after they bought them, we ended those listings. Right. And sure enough, one of them sold even though we had ended it. It's such a pain. So what we learned from that is we're probably not going to pull inventory and end listings unless we absolutely have to, right?
But you can end your listings if you can get them ended.
And if you can get them, I digress. And donate your items because depending upon how you're set up, we can use that as a tax deduction. So.
Yeah, no, you absolutely can. And talk to your accountant.
Because we're not accountants.
We do some accounting.
We account, but we have a great CPA.
Yeah, you can usually, take a deduction at fair market value for the items, which means you can get, which means theoretically, if you paid $5 for them, you could take a tax deduction of the amount for $5, or at least show that as a possible deduction. So. But again, I'm not an expert, so talk to your accountant, your CPA, your tax professional to make sure that works in your state, your area, and your situation. So let's be very clear with that.
Yep. And the point is, they're never worthless, right? Even as a donation, they're still worth something to your business. So don't just immediately think, oh, they don't sell, so I have to throw them away. That's not the case at all.
Why not? So. I think, guys, there's at least 4 strategies you have for dealing with old inventory. You got to figure out what's old to you. You got to have a way to kind of keep track of how long you've had something, whatever it is, whether it's on your spreadsheet or, your pricing convention that'll help you figure it out. And then you can use some of those ways. You can run a sale, you can lot them together, you can end your listings and sell them locally, or you could end your listings and donate them.
Well, and Larry asked, we should probably finish my out in the boondocks story there with what did eBay do about it? Like what happened
what?
With the listings?
I had to cancel the order.
Did you cancel or did you ask?
I had to cancel the order. So, you know, that's all you can really do is cancel the order. I can't sell them something I don't have.
And just be honest about that.
Well, and you know, it's happened a couple other times with other items. And the funny thing is after I ended the listings initially, I checked for that item in my actives. I looked by the seller SKU. I looked for it was gone. It was down. It was no longer listed.
And then surprise.
Surprise. So, and yes, somebody asked if I deleted my ended listings. I do. Yeah. I did not relist it. So it was really weird, but eBay, you know, has little glitches here and there. So we all know that. Hey guys, we got 150 people watching. So thank you very much for that. Thanks for coming out today. We would ask that if they're enjoying the content, Kaaren, what do you think they should do?
Like it. Thumbs up.
What does it mean?
I don't know what it means.
Hit the like button. Golly.
I just said like it.
I know, but they don't know what that means.
I'm assuming they know what that means.
Not everybody knows. There's a little button down below, a little thumbs up. So give us a thumbs up if it lets us know we're doing a good job. We do appreciate it. And it helps the video out. So anyway, hopefully those are good tips for you guys. Hopefully you can get something out of those. There's probably other tips too. I'd love to hear about what you guys' experiences have been with your old inventory and what you've done about it.
Yeah, what do you guys do? Somebody said, what about auctions? Yeah, we talked about auctions. Yeah, sure, give it a try. And I think Mr. Sadie said, you know, he'll even go down and start at like a 99 center.
Yeah.
Those make me really nervous because don't put something for 99 cents unless one, you're prepared to accept 99 cents for it. And two, make sure that you've got your shipping covered. You know, you don't want to make the mistake that that's 99 cents and either include shipping or include inaccurate method for shipping because then it's coming out of your pocket. Yeah,
absolutely. And somebody was asking about if canceling orders hurts your account. It can. If you're doing it because you're consistently out of inventory, which effectively I sort of was, but I hate taking a hit on those because I'm like, you know, I don't really feel like this one's my fault when I did everything. I mean, I don't know what else I could have done differently. And eBay will just tell you, oh, well, whatever. It's a glitch and it's going to happen. But, you know, guys, you got to decide like this kind of comes back to what your model is too. Like how fast do you want to move items in and out of your store? Do you want to have a big, huge store where maybe you don't sell as many? Do you want a big, huge store where you sell a lot in a day, which require more resources? Do you want to have a smaller store, smaller footprint items, but it's easy to maintain? I mean, there's so many different ways to do this business. It's not like, that's why I didn't want to say, hey, an old item is exactly this. I'm just giving you a rule of thumb to use and you can decide if it makes sense for you or not.
Yeah.
Let's see what other comments and questions. So you guys, if you have comments and questions, please keep them coming in the chat. And of course, if you're watching this later, post them down below. We try to answer them. I do read them all. I promise you, I read them all. But responding to them all is tough to do sometimes.
And my channel is small enough that I spent the entire day today responding to every comment on every video I've ever made.
She's a responder.
I am. I am relishing that right now because there might be a time someday when I can't. But I spread the love this morning.
Yeah. Let's see. I think Kelly said that she was getting rid of her eBay listings and going to quit being an eBay clothing seller. That's interesting, Kelly. We'll have to talk about that offline. But, you know, it kind of harkens back to what we say on this channel all the time. Like, eBay has got to fit for you. I'm not one of these people, and Kaaren isn't either. We're going to come on here and say, you should do eBay and do nothing else, and it should consume you, and it should be your whole life, and then you should ramp it up to 5 million listings. We're not going to say that. Like, that's not the right solution for almost anyone. So I just think that you have to do what's right for you in your business. And somebody was asking me, I prepared a long response to somebody today on a comment. I ended up deleting it. It's so funny. I do that a lot now.
Well, it's healthy. It's like the letter, you write the letter that you never intend to send because it helps you process some stuff. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, and I told them, I said, I was going to say to them, I'm not going to tell you what the whole response, I mean, it's a good response, but I just decided not to post it. But
that's not fair.
eBay is, well, I don't remember everything it said now, but eBay is a part of what we do. It's not all of what we do. It doesn't consume us. I think it has a great place. I almost look at eBay now. This is going to sound like a little weird, but I almost look at it like it's part of our portfolio, you know, because it's part of what we do for our business and so on. And it's a significant part, don't get me wrong, but it's not the only part. And I just think if you treat it that way, you'll kind of sleep easier, because so many people in the reseller community get consumed with it. And then when things don't go well or go the way they think they should go, it crushes them. It crushes them mentally. It can crush them financially. It crushes them. And I just don't think that's ever a place I want to be. I don't want to be so dependent on eBay mentally, financially, every way possible, that I, you know, ride this roller coaster of emotion with every little thing that happens on the platform. You know, that's I think that's risky.
Well, and I think that people that have been doing this a long time may concur. It's changed a lot in the last 5, 10, 15 years, and it's going to continue to change. It's going to continue to evolve. So you either adapt, improvise, and overcome, or you don't.
Right. That's exactly right. And, you know, the great thing about a platform like eBay is that you can scale it to different levels, and you can scale back. You can sell more expensive items. You can sell less expensive items. You can go out and just consume your day with it, or you can make it a part of what you do each week. And so many different ways to do it that I mean, that's the beauty of it.
So there's a Gene question. Can we pounce
on
it?
Yep.
So Lizzie Lulu says, what's the difference, man, between 7 and 7 fam, 7 for all mankind? Huge difference. They're not the same at all.
Right.
And we feel you, because a lot of people will confuse them in listings, especially in titles, and they are not the same. 7 fams are higher end. They tend to be more expensive. That's 7 for all mankind. And 7s, just the word 7, are just different altogether. So go by what the label tells you, not by what maybe somebody else may have listed the same pair for, because you're not being forthwith with your calling a 7 fam a 7 or vice versa, because they are completely different. They're not related.
Yeah, good question. Dio asked, do you make more doing live events on YouTube than posting videos? Is that why so many people do these live events now? YouTube monetization is a fickle beast. And it's gotten even more fickle these days because of the advertiser issue that they had earlier this year has caused a lot of fallout. Sometimes get more views, sometimes they don't. It really just depends on a lot of other factors. It depends on what your topic is, your keywords. Sometimes it seems like it just depends on the weather. And I don't know that I can really answer that completely, you know, other than just to say it depends, because that is the truth. Most of the monetization that people who do YouTube videos on is through AdSense, through ads. And I'm always grateful when anybody watches an ad, because of course it helps out. You know, I'm not going to lie and say that I'm not grateful for that. Of course I am. But it's not the only reason that we do these videos. It actually wasn't the reason at all to start this channel, because when you start a channel these days on YouTube, there is no monetization. They don't allow you to monetize it. So, you know, just always consider monetization on YouTube as like a bonus, because that's kind of how we see it. 7 is Melissa McCarthy's friend. Yes. Let's see what else. Do you use immediate payment required for buy it now purchases? Any advice on how that can impact sales? I would absolutely use it for buy now purchase, but unfortunately for best offer, it will not allow you to do immediate payment, which I don't really understand.
We were talking about that over the weekend.
Yeah, I think that would be a nice change. Like if you accept a best offer, or they accept your best offer, especially if they accept your counter offer. I think it should automatically require payment. That would be a nice feature of eBay, but we absolutely do immediate payment. And I think you should as well, honestly, because there's no reason to wait. Every day that you're waiting and that item is not selling, it's costing you money, because that's taking up a spot. You're not getting the capital that someone has promised you to give you. And I think you should absolutely require immediate payment for all those reasons.
We just do the show at 2 Monday, Wednesday, Friday for Larry.
Yes, I do. Larry, it's all for you in your dusty attic.
Oh, I see what you did there.
That's right.
But I mean, it creates a schedule. Like, this is our water cooler. This is our community. And again, the solitary reseller life, right? It's a time for us to get together, a set time. And I don't think we can do that with pre-recorded videos as easily, right?
Right.
And it's really the only way that we can interact, unless we made Hangouts all the time. It's the only way for us to interact one-on-one, like at the same time. Virginia Resale Hunter says, best way to authenticate jeans got burned on a fake pair of Citizens Humanity. That's unusual. Citizens Humanity are not really fake that often. But the best way, short of asking questions in a jean seller forum, like the Killer Jeans forum on Facebook, if you purchase the book, there's our shameless plug. That was good. There's always one 101 Killer Women's Jeans brands down below in the description. Hundreds of hours spent on. You get access to our Facebook group, which is just for people who bought that book, which is awesome. So you get people who are jean sellers. But if you don't have access to specific people or forums like that, I would say go to the manufacturer's website. First of all, look for any identifying information you can. If you are lucky enough to have that retailer have an outlet or a store near you, you can usually take them in and ask them to authenticate. That's always an option as well, but that's not always possible for a lot of jean brands. As a matter of fact, it's not possible for most of them. But going to their website is always possible, and you can sometimes pick up some great tips about what they look like. Go to a store that sells those jeans. Chances are, if you go to like a major retailer and they're selling a brand of jeans, it's legit. It's not impossible they could have a fake in there. It does happen from time to time, but not usually. Well, and don't go, if you're gonna Google it, don't Google images, because when we were doing the research, I did that a couple of times on some things, and you can't just go by pictures. So you really have to go to the source and do some comparison. But as far as jean, yes, we don't get a lot of fakes. I mean, the Robbins jeans, the only pair I ever found, we just didn't feel good about it. It wasn't symmetrical enough. The True Religions, those are pretty easy to spot though, because again, they're not symmetrical. Yeah. Lisa R, is there a way to email you? Yep, email is in the description of this video. Prof Sales 44. And I can get an email to her. Turns out I know her. Yeah, you can email me through his, but mine's just askkaaren@gmail.com, but we forward back and forth. Yeah, oh, sure. I know his email address. I've got it in my phone. How do you handle a winner of an auction who wants to cancel because her bid was an error? I would cancel it. That's happened. That happens more often than not. The kid gets a hold of the computer by accident. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, it doesn't. Here's the thing. Like, why spend all this time arguing about what's a good reason to cancel it or not? Oh, we did that. But, it doesn't really matter. Like, you don't get to decide if it's a good reason or not. You're going to try to hold this person to buying that item that they now don't want to buy. Enjoy that feedback, that return, because it's going to happen a lot of times if you do that. Because I know it sucks, but people do make mistakes, and I'm not going to go play, auction police. I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, all right, whatever. And if they changed their mind. I mean, that's the bottom line, right? Whatever happens there, they change their mind. Let's see. I'll put them in here. You just keep talking. What are you putting in there? Email addresses. Oh, okay. She's putting the email address in the chat. Thank you very much for that. Oh, somebody was asked. Oh, gotcha. Let's see. What other questions? 167 people today. Oh my gosh. Where are all you people coming from? That's like a Monday record, I think. That's awesome. We should celebrate. We should give away some old jeans. I mean, I'm just kidding. Yeah, give away some old jeans. Here's a bundle of old jeans. Here's all our stuff that hasn't sold. Yeah. Someone said garage sales are asking eBay prices as well. Go to a different garage sale. Yeah, that happens.
I mean, they can ask eBay prices all they want. And when they do that, if I show up and I try to get a lower price, they say, oh, that's what they're going for on eBay. I'm like, you should sell them on eBay then.
Yeah, we've actually said those exact words to somebody.
I said, because it will not be, you will not get cash in hand if you sell them on eBay. And I will give you cash in hand if you give me the right price. Walk away. Like, I don't have to buy them.
It's entertaining. Like it used to get under my skin, but now it's just part of the fun. Like now we just kind of laugh it off. We're like, oh, you really want to sell that treadmill for $973 when you paid $1,200 for it.
Yeah. I mean,
good luck.
Don't get emotional about it either.
No. Yeah.
You don't have some right to their item.
It's not personal. Don't make it that.
And if they're not, if they can't see that selling them on eBay is different than selling them on at a yard sale or garage sale, you're not going to change their mind on that, very likely. And it's not up to you. Like, you don't have to go out there and correct all the wrongs in the world or all the people who have these strange notions about things. Doesn't matter.
Yep. And Edward Lamborghini, we discussed that earlier. No, we still have pair number 1. Jason's being stubborn about it.
Poor pair number 1.
Wah, wah.
I don't know why it won't sell. It gets views. It gets views. It's being seen. A couple people have offered to buy it from me over the last year or so, and I'm like, nope, I don't want a charity buy. I want it to sell.
Well, you said at one time you would, like, if somebody ever bought them, you'd give them away for the nostalgia of it. But then it's like,
I did say that.
You did say that once.
Huh? Would I still do that? I might still do that.
But they're a really good pair of jeans.
Yeah, they're a pair of Luckies, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry, we went somewhere.
What other questions are. We'll take a few more questions and comments.
Yeah, but don't get emotional. It's only business. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, Amazon seller says yes. List, wait, sell, pack, go to post office, wait in the line, pay a lot, ship, pay eBay and PayPal fees, and then enjoy the pennies that are left. Yeah, you're basically right there. I mean, that's basically it. But people, people have this weird view of what things are worth. And, I've always been the camp. It's worth what someone will pay for it. The same exact item on eBay will sell for 30 different prices within a 90-day period. Virtually the same item in every way possible. And it'll be 30 different prices. And you'll be like, why did that happen? Who knows? You know?
And Drummer is in the same drummer boat as we are, still holding on to number 1 item. And I think Terry said, one of the Terrys earlier said they still had item number 1. How long have you guys been holding on to your item number 1 though? I bet we've got you beat. You are more stubborn.
It's been over 2 years for me. True story. Like 2.5 years actually now at this point.
Talk about no emotional attachment here.
Technically, it'll still have that January 2016 date when it sells, but it was listed, I'm pretty sure, in spring of 2015. So it's been over 2 years since the time of this video.
That bad boy got photographed in the apartment, probably hanging up on the back of a door.
On a pink hanger. It's awful.
Is it really the pink hanger?
It might be.
And then I came along and the pink hanger was no more.
Pink hanger with an incandescent bulb. So it's probably it looks too hot.
Like, it's like a grayish, greenish blue, all crooked.
Any luck with Chico's? Very slow for me. Chico's for me has always just been sort of a bread and butter brand. There are some that will sell a little bit higher end, like when you get in the higher size of those, like 2.5 and 3s.
Don't they have the So Slimmings? It's the Chico's that are So Slimmings. Right?
That's right, and they'll be fine, but you're not gonna like go sell them for $100 or something like that. That's not likely to happen.
What did Aaron say?
For a 10 or 20 buck profit. Some people drop it to cost price and some would wait it out.
Well, that's kind of what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Sold a couple of weeks ago after only 2 months. Oh, Terry, good for you.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on how long you want to wait.
Sorry, we're kind of dealing with that now after the fact.
Yeah.
But we had we can sit on it. It's not
really space for more inventory. So it's not taking up room. Yes, we would love to get that capital back out of it. Some of those older ones, but we've sold the vast majority of those. Speaking of which, it's almost 1 year to the date when we did the 100 listings in a day.
It's
in about
a
10
week and
days.
a half. Yeah, it's 10 days.
So we plan, let's see, what day would that be? 13th would be Monday.
It's Thursday.
Yeah, it's like a Thursday, next Thursday.
It's a week from Thursday.
We're going to do a recap of that day. Maybe we'll do it on Friday of next week.
So wait a minute. We're going to recap a day after a
well,
year
gives us
after
a whole
the
year.
day.
Yeah, it gives us a whole year.
Oh, I get you. We're going to recap the recap of the day.
So we did this crazy challenge where we wanted to list 100 jeans in a day, but we also talked to people as we did it, hours to do all that, which is pretty good when you think about it. It's like 11 an hour. Now, granted, we did have some photos done beforehand. We had like 30 photos done beforehand, maybe 40.
Yeah, but then it became this big bottleneck where I was talking, I was yapping, you were listing, and then all of a sudden you didn't have any photos anymore. So
we had to go back and forth.
So we're not going to do the same thing, but I think we should do something live on Thursday. Why the heck not? Come on, tell him he should do it.
But we will update you guys on how that's gone with the 100 a day and where those are all at and how many we've sold and all those good things. So look for that probably next week.
Yeah, that's got its own set of statistics too, because we kept track of those. Yeah, it's very cool. So
yeah, so that would kind of qualify as old inventory at that point. All those that are left, right? Because we've been over that 300 day.
Right.
So that's kind of interesting to think about. So maybe we'll do something with those
and be a comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a great day, fun day. It was actually 4 different videos split up over 9 hours.
And I had Dorothy braids on that day, and I was in.
We figured we could have done it in about 6 hours, but stopping to talk to everybody and everything, there was no way we were going to get it done quite as quickly. So, but it was a lot of fun. But I don't know if I'd want to do it again. It was also a lot of work, and I was tired.
We can probably condense and do something special all together, because like everybody, it's fun, like getting together and doing a hangout or whatever.
True. Maybe we'll do something.
Hey, it's better than no.
All right, we better get out of here. We're not that funny.
Speak for yourself.
All right, guys. Well, look, I hope those tips were helpful. I hope you were able to get something out of how to handle old inventory. We appreciate you guys hanging out today with us. And if you have questions or comment, leave them after this video post.
Smash the like button, follow the channel, set your alarm. We love to be here live with you Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard. Hopefully you set your clocks back, or you're going to be watching this on a replay.
Yeah, check out the links down below in the description, guys. All kinds of helpful stuff down there that'll help you as a reseller and things that I believe in and personally used and personally still do use. So check those out, and we will see you guys very shortly.
Yes, this is Just Ask Kaaren.
And Prof Sales
saying good sales to you.